Hey, and welcome to this episode of 3 of 300. It is V More, your neighborhood epidemiologist. Um, Welcome on in. Let's talk about this weekend, right? So, one of the things that people don't really understand is what epidemiology is. And I think we sometimes get confused on like, oh, well, what do you do? But overall, we're just scientists and we're just researchers and we just look at stuff and we investigate stuff and we put stories together. And so I wanted this episode to be a little bit more about what I'm planning on doing after I graduate. I graduate May 2nd, 2026. Woo, woo, woo. Um, it's been a long road because it took me 5 years to complete a 2 year degree. But, um, a lot of people, and even one of my professors said, it doesn't matter how long you just finish, but take your time. And she understood MS very well because she was my chronic epi teacher. So it wasn't like I wasn't supported in the sense. It was really just having to battle MS, doctor's offices, stress, right? So, and that brings me to what I plan on doing with becoming an epidemiologist and why I call myself the neighborhood, and hood is capitalized because I look at the inner city system. I am a brown girl from the inner city of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I think a lot of people think of Grand Rapids and they don't even probably think of Black people, or do they even take a second thought of what the inner city would look like, right? So, one of the things that I've learned doing through traveling was that my city really doesn't have like slums. And it doesn't have like a lot of people that come visit be like, oh wow, this the hood? Like, not too bad. And I don't know how to take that sometimes. But when I went to other places and other people hometowns and stuff like that, it started to make sense. Um, I call it Grand Rapids will find a way to give you poop, and we're gonna keep it clean version because I don't know who's really gonna listen to this, but poop and make it look like gold. The average house there right now is the median cost of a house there is 400,000. And I don't think my people there in a certain area, the 49506, the 49507, the 49508, maybe still in there, is aware of what's happening. My mom lives in the 49507 area. And last year, I knew I had to leave because it was breaking my heart of what the city was coming to. Gentrification is crazy. And I've been there in the 49507 area since I was 4. So I grew up in that era and I've seen it be the raw, rugged inner city sanction that it is, right? But it was Black people. And I never and I remember telling people like when I went off to CMU, um I was culture shocked because I grew up around Black people. I went to church around white people, but I just thought that was just my church. Like, and I was just going there because let's be honest, like my mom was making me go. So like I didn't question anything. And then once I became of age, I started attending more Black churches. And then in college is when I attended a multicultural church and all these different things. So I've been around different cultures, and predominantly my culture and in predominantly white cultures, and I've learned that every culture has a different standard. I just don't think the inner city, or even inner cities, period, right? Because when we think about inner city. It's a system. It was a system to be created. So we have to remind ourselves that there is a purpose for this system to be going on. So of course the crime is high. Of course there is youth, unmotivated youth. Of course there is high unemployment. Of course there's, single parent homes and just congestion. People don't have a people don't have oh, I have something in my eye. But they don't own nothing either. So I think I seen, and you can't even look it up. Like, let's look it up. The amount of businesses Black people own in Grand Rapids, right? Because because representation matters. I have something in my eye, you guys. And if you don't see greatness, you won't really think greatness can be attained, right? So I don't need to put percentage. I don't need to know the names of the businesses. So yeah, and I think it's not exact because it's not much. It's 17% of Black people in Grand Rapids. Now, let's talk numbers, people. And that's one thing I love to do because, again, I'm an epidemiologist. I'm a data scientist, analyst. I love looking at the numbers and putting them together. So if it's only 17% of Black people in a city of almost like 200,000, it's not that many of us. So it's not going to be that many businesses, and it's not going to be that big of support. I think what happened is the inner city people of Grand Rapids, and I'm going to keep talking about Grand Rapids because that's just what I'm familiar with. But I'm pretty sure it's everywhere else. When I talk to other people about, inner cities and when they come from. But I think what happened was the Black people in Grand Rapids thought it was a bigger city. I relocated to OKC, and this place is huge compared to the Four Corners of Grand Rapids. Now, the metropolitan of Grand Rapids is much bigger, but Grand Rapids itself is small and tiny and together. So I think when you see so many Black people all the time, because again, you go to the public schools, you hang out in these areas, you live in these places, you think there's more. But once you start expanding out, you realize that there's not really more. There's not that many of Black people in there, and that's why there's no culture there. That's why there's nothing for Black people to do there. So my goal as a neighborhood epidemiologist is to help people in these cities be confident that even though I don't see it, I can create it. Even though I don't see it, it does not mean this place has to look like this. So one thing that we have to realize and remember about cities is it's their responsibility to take care of what's going on in that city. So one of the heartbreaking things that I had experienced when I went back in almost a year ago at this point, but I was there in March. Wow, that time went by fast. So it wasn't March. It couldn't be March. It wasn't March. It had to be October. It was October. It wasn't March because I went in school in March. It was October. So I had to go back home and there was a killing. And I'm not even going to say shooting because we know what happened. it was a murder. But I was on the porch and I heard it. And when I read the article, and the article said 100 shots, and it just broke my heart. And it was a teenager too. And it broke my heart because I heard every shot. I don't think the Black people in the inner city know how stressed out you are. John Hope Bryant made a statement when he was on 85 South show, and people did not like it because he called the hood loud and noisy. And even though I don't know why people got mad about that, because it is like I sit on my porch faithfully and can always see something going on. And I moved down here to OKC and there's nothing happening. Like people aren't even outside. People don't even sit outside really. So it's one of those things where you have to know where you are and also what are you trying to do. And I'm winded, y'all. I'm coming from a flare up, so give me grace. So my goal is to create as much data around the Black community in Grand Rapids. Again, I talk about Black people all over. I study Black people all over. I actually love the history of Black people and the migration and what happened and how we went from a rural South to an industrial urban. And how we're moving back. There's a reverse migration happening. That I don't think a lot of people realize, but it's been happening, and it makes sense to me when you really look through the data. So I want people to be aware of things that's happening in the city and kind of look at other cities and look at other inner cities. Like don't go and look at these big look at other inner cities and kind of get your own viewpoint of how a city is being ran. And is it being ran good? Or is your area being ran good? Do you need to get into the politics? Do you need to get into public health? Do you need to get into these things that will make a situation better? So I'm coming up on 13 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up really quick because I don't like making my videos long. I want you guys to be able to listen, consume, and think about it. I feel like sometimes if you make it too long, people think too much about what you said and not kind of the context. So I try to keep it nice and short. But why am I invested in Grand Rapids? What is my hometown? It's my hometown. It's home. But also my parents and my family lives there. And I want it to be a good place, even though I don't want to live there. It just is what it is. Just not a place for me. I really outgrew that place. Once I start getting jobs and I'm running into people that know people that know people. No, this place is too small for me. So always remember that it's okay to love a place from afar, but still support it. And that's my goal. So, and I'm going to do that through data. So if you have any initiatives or anything that you want to collaborate on data wise or research wise, I am open. I'm available after May 2nd. After May 2nd, I will be opening my services to things. But right now, I am trying to finish this degree, y'all. That took me 5 years. So, I am done for today. Well, for this topic, by the way. And I hope that you guys are having a very, very warm day. My bright idea was to move to Oklahoma City, and we still got snow. So this probably ain't the place we need to be. This is your neighborhood epidemiologist, V, and I will be talking to y'all soon. See ya.